demographic of the internet. Politically, they tend to be very libertarian, and it's often on the internet. You know, the was it Center for Electronic Freedom? Those all come from the internet, which is primarily fueled by that age group.
What age?
Teenage, older, early 20s, early 20s.
Do they realize they're libertarian in their thought?
Probably not unless it's identified.
Maybe we should start emailing. You know you're a libertarian?
Well,
The two most helpful trends, it seems to me, from a libertarian perspective, and they're both very powerful. This is a great potential source of hope and satisfaction to libertarians, are the internet and the growth of world trade.
yeah.
Both of those developments are very powerful, very recent, and very, very solid and unlikely to be dislodged. Now, there are two trend lines which ought to give libertarians great comfort and great hope at the same time. The young man in the back.
My name is Ken Borg, I'm a member, and
Can't hear you, sorry.
when we talk about getting the government out of the schools and kind of vouchers, just separating it all together. Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, Congress doesn't give, or the Constitution doesn't give Congress the power to give any money to education at all. In fact, throughout the whole Constitution, government doesn't mention education or schools or anything like that at all. So there's no authorization from the states to the Congress.
How old is the public school movement? It's about 160 or 70 years old, right? It's a great deal younger than the Constitution. There were religious schools and some other private schools at the time of the Founding Fathers. The public school system as such did not exist.
No.
It was created by Thomas Jefferson.
Sorry, Barbara?
Thomas Jefferson was actually the father of public education.
Yeah.
It really dates to the progressivist era.
Okay.
I don't know if you could say that, Barbara, because all Thomas Jefferson says, if we can't find any resource to do it, and we feel that there's no one being educated, he thought so much of education as important was that he says, we'll resort to the government if we have to, but he didn't fully endorse the idea.
His was a very different system too, in which there were no grades, there were no, it's not a very good comparison. But let me ask you this question, one other question. About this, what was brought up about, is there like a conspiracy in the media? How come we don't get the coverage? Why do we not get the recognition after 25 years? Let me ask this question. We have this system right now in which it's as Tom Jones is fond of reminding us, it's a plurality winner-take-all system in which if you're a Republican or a conservative or you're a Democrat or you're a liberal, whatever side of the political spectrum you're on, you're coming from the position that if we can win enough votes of plurality, then we're put in charge, and now we get to make the rules, and we get to enact our agenda, okay? Or the other side is coming from the same position. Well, what happens when you have a libertarian that comes along and says, let's call off the game, all right? No more rules, nobody gets to be in charge. Now you suddenly have Republicans, Democrats, liberals, conservatives united on one thing, and that is that if they win, they want to be put in charge. Libertarians come along and say, hey, let's not have anybody in charge. Does that not put us so far outside of the mainstream that the media, the liberals, the conservatives, the Republicans, there's one thing they have in common is that they don't like what we're saying?
No, I don't agree. It's not. That gives them far too much credit.
David, thank you very much for the
presentation today.
I think we'll take one more question. I think Fred wanted to say something.
I just want to answer
two quick ones, because no one...
Identify yourself.
With one or two more words, and that is, libertarianism simply is not on their radar screen right now, and that's all you need to know. And when it appears through whatever, a John Cook or someone like that.
We got there.
Yeah.
We definitely, and in fact, you kicked it off for us with that first interview.
Sure, it didn't translate into a huge number of votes, but John Kuhn, it's the Jesse Ventura principle, if you will, or the Jeffrey Feiger principle. It isn't about ideology. It isn't about any thoughtful or reasoned opposition to what you stand for. We must avoid these people because they represent a threat to our way of doing business. It's like an organism that gropes toward a certain light that is cast by one or another current hot personality. It's like a giant slug groping toward the heat. You know?
Good analogy.
Yes, sir.
One of the first things you ask is what do libertarians want? My name is Fred Collins. I'm a city council member in the city of Berkeley. And what I think libertarians want and need is political power. The only way we're going to be able to change this is to get in there and do it ourselves. Depending on the Republicans or the Democrats to ever make a change in our direction is spitting straight into the wind. It's not going to work. The question I wanted to address that I don't think anyone hit on was property rights. You were talking about, you know, what can you do to your property and what will offend your neighbor. It's interesting, my in-laws live in Oklahoma, and the subdivision that they live in has a covenant on the title of the property that for them to make a substantial change to the exterior of their property, they have to go before a community board. And this is something they do voluntarily when they buy the property. And if you want to live in a real dull, earth tone, ranch type house neighborhood, and this is what these people want, this is how they did it. They did it by private contract without government intervention.
All right, so this is a basic freedom of association issue, which is entirely consistent with libertarianism. And if you sign a contract which says no purple houses, that's kosher libertarian style.
Yes, sir.
Got it. I learned something.
You did a program just recently on that.
I did a couple of them.
Libertarian owner.
Didn't think you were going to get so many answers, but boy, you came back with two.
I had a great time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've got one announcement. Next month, we'll go back to our first Tuesday of the month for our meeting. And Stacy Van O's, the chair of the Libertarian Party of Michigan, is going to be our speaker. Thank you all for coming. I'll be right.
Sorry?
Nice.